My name is Henrik von Scheel, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to have a chance to announce here a new wave that is happening in manufacturing, a big shift that is happening in manufacturing. So some of the things I want to go through with you is some of the mega trends and one of the big shifts that is happening in manufacturing in Europe this year, and what most of you can take opportunities from. So I'm here for you guys. I'm 40 minutes, and in the afternoon I'm giving a best practice class on over 1,000 companies where we've done best practice on digitalization and how to avoid some of the common mistakes and some of the practice that works quite well. So a little bit about myself. People see me as a futurist, but I'm actually a strategist. So for 20 years, I've dedicated my life to research strategy. And my field in strategy is patternicity. I'm looking at repeatable pattern, performance pattern, and leading practice pattern. And how I normally do that with the universities around is in a certain fragmented, structured way. We look at what is the archetype of a standard. We look on how is the relationship with them, so semantics, ontology. We look at the classification, categorization, so at the known to the unknown. Then we look at the probabilities and statistics. I know when I talk about this, most people blur over, right? But this is the basis for the SAP standard. You have today how to implement SAP. This is what I originated. How to implement standards that you implement in Oracle. Most of the software standards you apply today are based on these standards. Standards are repeatable elements where you have a common denominator that everybody can work towards. So whatever you need is always the same thing. So then you ask, so Henrik, why do people see you as a futurist? Why did you were part of originating the digitalization in Germany and the Industry 4.0? Because part of strategy is you always look at trends. And part of looking at trends is how you define your strategy. And can I maybe get two people up here, a male and a female, maybe you two? Can I get you two up on stage? Because part that just come up, because part that I want to discuss with you, I want to make it in a way that you actually can relate to what it means. Just get up, right? So there are three major mega trends I want to discuss with you. One is the technology convergence. Part of this includes the AI, a regulatory disruption that is happening for you and for Europe, which has a huge impact on you. And then the one element that I haven't seen for over 20 years, your ability to operate, to grow. You live in an industry where energy prices go up, inflation rates go up, banks are declining more and more to pay you to help you to grow. You are normally traditionally not a technology company, but you need to focus more and more on technology. So your ability to grow, to define competitiveness is actually quite limited because you are by design not strategists. So this is a rare opportunity that's coming. I'm going through it with you on purpose so you have the chance to go through. I'm here all day for you. If you have questions, it's straightforward. So the reason why I invited these two up. So in megatrends, these are the 77 megatrends of the fourth industrial revolution. And as you can see, they're divided into technology trends, the red ones. They are then the regulatory trends, they're the workforce trends, environment trends, globalization trends, consumer trends, and demographics trends. And you see each archetype has a strategic inclination. It goes in a certain direction. So this we did in 2008. And it hasn't changed since then. So what happened in 2008? When trends collide together, they emerge in a different element. So trends, when you look at trends, look at them from two perspectives. Look at them like a male and a female version. When you look at AI, AI has a male version, which is the more I push him, right? I'm a force, I'm pushing him. The more I push him and he's unable to adapt, I'm putting him out of this mode of operation. That means that is what's happening to companies in transformation. So when elements forces him that he needs to change to regulatory elements, adopt automation, technology, and he's unable to adapt to it, he's losing his way of operating. And the more he loses it, there's a change gap. So this is the transformation part of it. So that means most manufacturers today focus solely and only on transformation. They adapt to something that happens to them. So for example, in AI, that would be robotic process optimization. It's so high mature, it's cheap, and he should do it because to lower his costs, he can save 20 to 30% on robotic process optimization, on financing, on HR, all these things that are high cost for him, he automates and gets a cost saving from it. Her aspect of the same element is a different archetype. It's called innovation, a driver. So a mega trend has two elements. It's a force and it's a driver. That means if I need to partake of the benefits that she gets, I need to be proactively out to get her. I need to invest and I need to align. So if I want to take advantage of the new AI in a vector database, I proactively need to invest in a special database, algorithms, data teams to leverage my own data in a way and capture it better. That's the big difference. Here I'm adapting, here I need to invest. So whatever you need to see on a trend, when you do strategy, you have to look at it in two ways. If you only focus on transformation, your business will not be able to grow. It's just adapting the normal organic growth it has. So you're not growing more than that, right? Thank you very much. Did that make sense to you? So now you also know the difference between innovation and transformation. The transformation is that you adapt something that already exists, and the innovation is that you invest in new capabilities or competencies that do not exist and add it to the existing version. So the one element I need to tell you with this, everybody talks about AI, and I will go through it also a little bit, right? But AI is a technology. AI, like any other technology, is purpose-driven applied. So you need to decide in a strategy how to apply it and which impact it will give you. That's the only element that you need to focus on. So AI will not work by itself. AI needs all these elements that are around it. So when you look at the fourth industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution is 8 evolutionary steps. So whoever comes to tell you about Industry 4.6, Industry 5.0, whatever, this is ending up way up to 2040 or 2050. And it's coming in evolutionary stages, right? And these stages, you have already experienced them. Some are more impactful for you and some are less. The environment change is the Paris Agreement. It's hitting you right in the face. It's hitting you right in the face. The grace period has ended here by in October. So everybody of you who are in the room who are shipping products in and out will be hit by CBAM. If you're not aware of it, if you're not acting to it, you will pay 15 to 25% tax when the product goes over the border. So if you're not proactively, you're leaving money on the table and don't have digital assets in your own house. So this is the evolutionary piece that is relevant for you, right? It's a fit for Green Deal, all these elements that you are compelled and complied to do. If you don't do it, you pay additional tax for it. So the economic revolution, most of you will already sense. Banks are not giving you any loans anymore. The banking system is unhinged. It means they have an inability to support and enable you. So you need to identify a new way to leverage your own assets in a smart way, because banks are not doing it because they're not designed to do it anymore because of regulations. Biorevolution is the big play for AI in Europe. Europe has all the information. Europe has all the data. I've been sitting on the advisory board for the European Union AI Act. The reasons why we are so strong in AI Act, because AI is all about data. And how do we protect our data? And how do you protect your data? That's the one thing that you just should discuss on your board, how you should focus and consider that. The other parts are coming slow by slow. It just gives you a vision on that it's a stronger path. So what is common to that? There's a consistent disruption that is happening. We live in the best time in manufacturing, also you don't feel it. We do live in the best times in manufacturing. We live also in the most challenging times. It's the one where we have the biggest opportunity if we know how to leverage it. Because everything around us that are normally pillars are becoming unhinged. When things are changing in a normal industry, these are creating opportunities for every small of these parts. So let's go to AI. How many of you know something about AI? Good. Are you afraid of AI? Good. How many of you apply AI? Good. How many think that you will apply AI? Good. Let me give you a reality check, right? So this is proven capabilities, theoretical capabilities, impact in terms of functionality and prototyping. So when you look at AI, this is a simplified version that you should look at. So symbolic AI has been out there for quite a while, right? Symbolic AI is good old-fashioned AI. So that is for you in manufacturing, robotic process optimization. Deloitte, McKinsey, all of them came out with it 10 years ago, sold it for you for 5 million, 8 million, right? Today you can get it for 20, 80, 120,000, depending on how complex you do it, right? You don't even have to get the big guys in to do it, right? Robotic process optimization is a no-brainer. Actually a no-brainer. If you don't do it today, it's actually your own mistake. It's a little bit like digitalization. Do you need to do digitalization? Of course you need to do. In some kind of a version, you need to do it. It's the same thing with robotic process optimization. Do you need to automate something which is non-core, like a financial process, like a hiring process, like a payout process? Of course you should. Why? Because you can, and you can lower the cost, and you can save up to 20 to 30%. So that's one thing in symbolic, right? Then you have narrow AI. Narrow AI is machine learning, right? Machine learning is the element, for example, any kind of manufacturing you are in, you should focus somehow in some version in autonomous systems. If that's just tracking where the employees are in the warehouse, where the shipments are going, if it's tracking your supply chain, some kind of evolutionary step in autonomous systems, you should have. If that's your virtual assembly line, if that's your quality check, this is something that you need to connect. But the dependencies on this is often that you've started on your digitalization journey. If you're not started on this, your autonomous systems will be a hiccup effect. They will not work. Autonomous systems are not really expensive today. I will go through that tonight in the masterclass, right? How to do that step by step. So then you move over to the deep machine learning, the large language models, everything you hear now, right? This is actually more theoretically than real. So why is that this? All the big guys, AI today, what they're bringing out is the biggest infringement on intellectual capital. Stealing your information. If you haven't noticed it, you should wake up now. You are just a product for them. They're consuming your data and reselling your data to you. Does that mean you should not use it? No, it should mean you should use it in a different way, right? So I'm going through that on the hype cycle for you so you know how you can use that in manufacturing, how you can take advantage of that without depleting your intellectual capital. So what is required? I'm not talking about the next two because they're more like evolutionary. We're not in a hardcore technology element, right? So this is the hype cycle that we do with the universities together, right? And we do it based on the trend cycle, you have a performance cycle, and you have an adoption cycle. So you see, the performance cycle is based on the 6 business models that you work on. Cost model, performance model, operating model, value model, service model, right? So depending on where the trend is, depends on the benefits you can get out of it. That's a really important indicator, because if you are here, you want to get an industry advantage out of it. So you invest to be minimum as good as your competition, right? When you're over here, you're in hyper-competitive area. So you're competing about cost, price, faster, better quality, all of this, right? When you're over here, you're testing something that nobody does before, and you're getting a competitive advantage out of it, and it's very difficult. So I should also be honest to you, the industry uses a lot of competitive advantage. I have only seen very, very few companies that have competitive advantage. Very, very few. Why? You invest a lot of money to have something quite unique in the market, right? Most of you have comparative advantage that you need to invest and compete on, or you are in this area. So competitiveness is something you design. It's not something you stumble over. So from AI, it looks a little bit like this. This is the same version that you saw before, just a little bit more details, right? So what it is you should focus on. If you want to start low end, you start with vector databases. Vector databases are an extended version of your databases. Either do a hosted service of an Navida server or something else. I don't recommend that. That's too expensive, and you should somehow kind of try to own it yourself. But a vector database is your in-house version where you use algorithms to collect your data together to represent itself in a certain way. A good example is, for example, when you have all the ingredients, tomato, you have spices, you have noodles, you have onions, you have all of this, right? A vector database gathers this up and says, this is pizza, this is lasagna, this is spaghetti, right? So it's based on the same ingredients, but it's gathered together for you to control that information, right? So why does that become important? It becomes important for some of the elements that are coming for you quite important. So how are you going to manage the taxation on your product, on CBAM in your value chain? Have you thought about that? You have a value chain, somebody that comes with a product to you, and you sell it, you produce a product, and you transport it, and you sell it to a customer. That value chain, you are responsible for the carbon credit, the retirement programs. That means they have 5 different products that you're gathering in. If they don't have a retirement program, it follows you. You have to pay it. If you produce and ship and gather and transport, you have to pay carbon credit for this. And you produce out of these products a different product that is taxed differently. And then it goes over. And when you have the different cross borders, it's even worse than that, right? So how do you manage that? My recommendations is a vector database. So most of you don't have these capabilities to do that, right? So my recommendation here quite early on is saying, since you're all in Greece, some of you are competing, some of you are not competing, right? This is where you should gather together. In order to do vector databases, you need an AI engineer, an AI researcher, an AI scientist, an AI database, and an infrastructure database. You need 5 guys to do one thing, but really good, right? The database, a vector database will cost you 10 times more than a normal database. So if you want to share the cost, you can do that, right? Then you have a LangChain is the next version. You have a large language model, which you will not use for sure, right? And you have a RAG. A RAG you will probably use where you retrieve information from a large language model towards you. You have to be very smart on how you do that. And the European Union the regulations on AI is very strong, right? So you have to make sure that whatever solution you do it to protect yourself and protect the information of your supply chain and protect the information of the consumers. Europe has decided not to be like the US, where we are mind masturbating over data and capturing and reselling it, right? So this is very important for you. So from a practical point of view, at the very end of adoption cycle is robotic process optimization. You have the regulatory aspects you have to think about if you approach AI. Then you have the next thing you need to discuss on your board is shadow AI. How many of you have heard about shadow AI? Okay, shadow AI is a simple thing that everybody of you in your company, you need to sit down and discuss, because everybody within your company uses ChatGPT, Palexia, they use many AI tools, and they're exporting your information. And you have to have a clear view and saying, okay, how will we handle these AI tools? Will we have a separate login where we have the data stored here before we export it in? How will you do that? Because you are interested to protect your pricing and all of this. You know what I see? CFOs uploading the Excel sheets on a pricing model because they want to see what's the best data for this, and right, and they come out with all this. They're exporting your pricing model. It's not a smart idea, right? So this is the shadow AI. Then you have the virtual agents. I think that the virtual agents is the perfect aspect that you should focus on in terms of carbon credit. If you want to manage your supply chain, carbon credit is your ability to capitalize on your value chain. You will be the predator on your value chain. It's your opportunity to earn money on your value chain.